Before we talk about keys, before the shoes by the door, before that familiar click of the lock, what if your dog already knows you're leaving? 20 minutes before you even pick up your keys. Picture a quiet Tuesday morning. It's 7:12. The coffee is still hot. Maybe there's a little steam curling off the mug. Maybe the dishwasher is humming in the background. Maybe you're answering a quick email before work. Nothing unusual has happened. You haven't reached for your bag. You haven't grabbed your jacket. You haven't even looked toward the front door. And yet, across the room, your dog lifts her head. Just a little. Not enough to make you stop and stare. Not enough to feel dramatic. But enough. Her eyes stay on you a second longer than normal. Then she settles back down. At least, that's what it looks like. But something has shifted. Most people miss this moment because it doesn't look important. There's no barking, no whining, no scratching at the door, just a tiny pause, a glance, a silence. The kind of silence that's easy to overlook. But for a lot of dogs, this is where the story actually begins. Not when you leave, not when the door closes, long before that. And once you notice it, you can't unsee it. Because dogs live in a world most of us barely register, a world built from patterns, tiny patterns. The way you walk through the kitchen, the pace of your footsteps, how long you stand at the counter, the order you touch things without even thinking about it. To us, it's just life. To them, it's information. A constant stream of information. Hundreds of clues every day. Collected, stored, compared, matched against thousands of mornings they've already lived through with you. Think about that for a second. While you're making coffee, checking the weather, wondering if you'll hit traffic, your dog is quietly studying the rhythm of your day. And somewhere inside that process, something remarkable happens. She starts recognizing what comes next. Not what you're doing, what you're about to do. I know how that sounds. A little strange. Maybe even impossible. But if you've lived with a dog long enough, you've probably felt it yourself. That moment when your dog somehow knows you're heading out before you've done anything obvious. She knows when it's a work day. She knows when a trip is coming. She knows when something feels different. And somehow, she knows before you tell her. Maybe you've noticed it. Maybe your dog suddenly becomes your shadow while you're folding laundry. Maybe she follows you from the bedroom to the kitchen, then the kitchen to the hallway. Not anxious, not frantic, just closer. Closer than usual. Or maybe she's the opposite. Maybe she quietly walks over to the front door and lies down nearby. Not because anyone is leaving. Not yet. Just because something in the atmosphere feels familiar. Some dogs become unusually still. That's the one that catches people off guard. Not nervous, not vocal, just watching. Their eyes follow you. Their ears flick toward every sound. And when you glance back at them, you get this strange feeling. Like they're waiting for something you haven't even realized is coming. Most owners only notice these moments after someone points them out. Then suddenly they see them everywhere, and the pattern becomes hard to ignore. Because these behaviors often start before the usual departure signals appear. The keys are still on the counter. The shoes are still untouched. The coat is still hanging exactly where it was. So what are they reacting to? That's the mystery. Not that dogs react when we leave. Everybody knows that. The mystery is why some dogs seem to react before the leaving even begins. When people first notice it, they come up with all kinds of explanations. Maybe my dog is psychic. Maybe she can predict the future. Maybe she understands time. Honestly, the truth is somehow less magical and far more amazing. Because your dog isn't predicting, she's detecting tiny changes, tiny shifts, tiny cracks in the pattern of an ordinary morning. A dog's life is built around observation, not the kind humans care about. They don't care about your calendar. They don't care about your meeting schedule. They don't care about unread emails sitting in your inbox. What they care about is rhythm, consistency, repetition. The things we stop noticing because they've become normal. And here's the thing. You're talking to your dog all day long. Even when you never say a word, every single day, your dog studies the speed of your movements, the direction of your gaze, how often you look at her, how long you linger in a room, how quickly you move through it. To a dog, those details matter a lot. In many ways, dogs are fluent in a language humans don't even realize they're speaking. A language without words. A language made of habits. Researchers at Eötvös Loránd University in Hungary have spent years studying how dogs interpret human social behavior. Their findings consistently point to something fascinating. Dogs pay extraordinary attention to our body language, movement patterns, and social signals, sometimes in ways that resemble very young children. Think about that. Your dog isn't waiting for one clue. She's gathering hundreds. The way your shoulders tighten when you're running late. The way you glance at the clock. The way you move a little faster on work days. The way your attention slowly drifts away from home and toward the outside world. Individually, those signals don't mean much. Together, they tell a story. And your dog has become incredibly good at reading it. Take a typical workday morning. You probably move differently without realizing it. You make decisions faster. You pause less. You walk with more purpose. You start mentally leaving before you've physically left. To another person, those changes might be invisible. To your dog, they can be as obvious as spoken words. Because dogs don't just watch what we do, they watch how we do it. That's why so many owners feel startled when their dog seems to know they're leaving before any visible cue appears. The dog isn't reacting to the keys. The keys are just the final chapter. Your dog has been reading the story long before that. But then a deeper question appears. And honestly, it's the question that changed the way many researchers think about dogs. If your dog can read your movements that well, what else is she reading? What if the signals aren't only physical? What if something else is moving through your home every morning? Something invisible. Something you can't see in a mirror. Something that doesn't appear in your posture or your routine. Because in 2024, 2 separate studies uncovered something extraordinary. Something that made researchers stop and pay attention. Something that suggests your dog may be sensing your emotional state in ways that go far beyond observation. And once you hear it, that quiet moment at 7:12 starts to make a whole lot more sense. Because your dog may not just be watching you. She may already be feeling you. And if that's true, another question follows. A difficult one. What exactly is she feeling on those mornings when leaving feels heavier than usual? For many people, the answer is surprisingly simple. Guilt. Not dramatic guilt. Not the kind that announces itself. The quiet kind. The kind that shows up when you look at your dog while putting down your coffee mug. The kind that whispers, "I wish I could stay home today." The kind that appears when she looks at you with those sleepy morning eyes. Or when she lets out that little sigh as she settles back into her bed. Or when you notice the same old squeaky toy she's carried around since she was a puppy. And suddenly, leaving feels harder than it should. Most people never say any of this out loud. They don't need to, because emotions rarely stay inside us. They leak into everything. Our breathing, our movements, our attention, sometimes even the entire atmosphere of a room. And dogs notice more than we realize. Every morning, somewhere in the world, a loving owner kneels down for one extra hug, one extra kiss on the head, one extra apology. They linger a little longer, talk a little softer, stay a little later. Every action comes from love. Every action comes from kindness. But here's where things get complicated. Love and reassurance aren't always the same thing. That can be hard to hear, especially if you're the kind of person who loves your dog so deeply that leaving the house sometimes feels like a tiny betrayal. But let me tell you something. Worrying about your dog doesn't make you a bad owner. Usually, it means the exact opposite. The people who carry the most guilt are often the people who care the most. The people who spend 20 minutes researching the best food. The people who celebrate birthdays for their dogs. The people who know exactly where their dog likes to be scratched and exactly which treat she'll pick first from a handful. The people who stay up late reading articles because they noticed one small change in behavior. The people listening right now. Your guilt isn't evidence that you're failing. It's evidence that the relationship matters. But relationships create feedback loops, and dogs are incredibly sensitive to them. Imagine someone you love walking up to you with worry written all over their face and saying, "Everything's okay." You'd feel the contradiction immediately. Part of you would believe the words. Another part would feel the tension underneath them. Dogs may experience something similar, not because they understand every sentence, but because they're reading the emotional current flowing beneath it. Sometimes the anxiety surrounding a departure becomes louder than the departure itself. Think about that. The thing upsetting your dog may not be your absence. It may be the worry that surrounds it. And that realization changes everything. Because the goal isn't to convince your dog you'll never leave. You can't. The goal is to show her that leaving is safe, that departures have endings, that the story continues after the door closes. Your dog doesn't need a perfect owner. She needs a predictable one. And nowhere is that feeling of reassurance more powerful than through scent. Humans trust their eyes. Dogs trust their noses. That's the difference. You can walk into a room and immediately notice the color of the walls. Your dog walks into that same room and notices who was there 3 hours ago. Scientists have known for years that dogs experience the world primarily through smell. They possess hundreds of millions of scent receptors, far beyond what humans have, and large portions of their brains are devoted to processing scent information. But here's what fascinates me. The magic isn't detection. It's meaning. Because for a dog, your scent isn't just a scent. It's a memory, a collection of memories. The smell of your hands after a morning walk, the smell of your sweatshirt during movie nights, the smell of the couch where the two of you sat together during a thunderstorm. Your scent becomes attached to moments, and moments become attached to emotions. That's how memories are built. In studies examining separation-related stress, researchers found that dogs exposed to their owner's scent often showed lower stress responses than dogs without that familiar scent nearby. When you think about it, that makes perfect sense. Your scent tells a story. Not where you are, who you are. And stories create safety. A blanket carrying your scent isn't just fabric. A worn t-shirt draped over a chair isn't just laundry. To your dog, those things can feel like evidence. Evidence that you exist. Evidence that you belong here. Evidence that this separation is temporary. When a dog curls up next to something that smells like you, she isn't analyzing molecules. She's reconnecting with familiarity, with memory, with trust. A reminder that you've left before. And you've come back before, again, and again, and again. Sometimes love survives through memory, and sometimes memory survives through scent. Maybe that's why a shirt you forgot to put away can become the most valuable object in the room. Not to you, to her. Because dogs connect scent to emotional experience in ways we're still trying to understand. And once you realize that, another mystery starts making sense. How do dogs always seem to know when something is different? How do they know when you're running late? Or leaving early? Or getting ready for a trip before a suitcase ever appears? The answer may be simpler than we think. They've been studying us quietly, patiently, for years. And maybe the next time, it's 7:12 on a Tuesday morning. Before the keys move, before the shoes appear, before the day begins, you'll notice something different in your dog's eyes. Not just concern, not just curiosity, recognition. The recognition of a story she already knows by heart. A story that always ends the same way. You leave. Time passes. And somehow, you find your way back to each other.